Hey, Scorpio, I just pulled some cards for you, and honestly, what came through is pretty intense. I mean, we're talking about Scorpio energy here, so that's not exactly surprising, but the cards are showing some major shifts coming your way, and I need to share what I'm seeing. So I'm sitting here with my deck, and the first card that practically jumped out at me is the Eight of Wands. Now, this isn't your typical slow burn Scorpio transformation we're used to. This is rapid fire energy coming at you full speed. Eight of Wands is all about things happening fast. And when I say fast, I mean like lightning speed changes that are going to catch everyone off guard. What's really interesting about this card in your reading is that it's showing movement that's been building up for months, maybe even years. And now it's all going to happen at once. You know how sometimes you feel like you're stuck in quicksand and nothing is moving forward? Well, that's about to completely flip. The energy I'm getting is that these changes aren't just personal. They're going to ripple out and affect everyone around you in ways they never expected. The way this card is positioned in your reading tells me that whatever has been brewing under the surface is about to explode into action. And I use the word explode intentionally because this isn't going to be a gentle transition. People in your life who thought they had you figured out or who assumed things would stay the same are going to be completely blindsided by how quickly everything shifts. What's fascinating is that this Eight of Wands is coming through with such urgency right now. Usually when I pull this card, it's about communication or travel. But for you, Scorpio, it's showing me something much deeper. It's about the rapid manifestation of internal changes that are finally ready to show themselves to the world. Moving deeper into your reading, the next card that came through is the Four of Pentacles. And this is where things get really interesting because this card is showing me someone else's energy, not yours. Four of Pentacles represents someone who is desperately clinging to control, who is holding on so tightly to how things have always been, that they're cutting off circulation to their own happiness. This person, and I'm getting strong vibes, that this is someone very close to you, maybe a family member or a long-term partner. They have built their entire sense of security around having you be a certain way or having your life follow a predictable pattern. The Four of Pentacles shows someone who hoards resources and emotions, who keeps everything locked down tight because they're terrified of loss or change. But here's what's really powerful about this card showing up in your reading right now. This person's desperate need to control and contain is exactly what's going to be shattered by your Eight of Wands energy. They've been operating under the assumption that they can keep things static, that they can maintain the status quo through sheer force of will. The energy coming through is showing me someone who is going to be in complete despair when they realize they cannot stop what's coming. Four of Pentacles people often think that if they just hold on tight enough, if they just control every variable, they can prevent change from happening. But your transformation, Scorpio, is like trying to contain an earthquake. It's a force of nature that doesn't ask permission. What I find really compelling about this Four of Pentacles energy is that it's not coming from a place of malice. This person genuinely believes that keeping things the same is protecting everyone involved. They've confused stagnation with safety, and they've confused control with love. So when your changes start happening and they're powerless to stop them, it's going to feel like their entire world is crumbling. The third card that came through for you is the Nine of Swords, and this is where we really start to see the emotional impact of what's unfolding. Nine of Swords is the card of anxiety, nightmares, and mental anguish. But what's important to understand is that this card isn't representing your energy. It's showing the psychological state of people around you as they try to process what's happening. Nine of Swords often shows up when someone is lying awake at night, replaying scenarios over and over, trying to figure out how things went so wrong, or how they missed the signs. This card is showing me someone, maybe multiple people, who are going to be completely consumed with worry and regret about your changes. The imagery of Nine of Swords is so powerful here because it shows someone sitting up in bed in the middle of the night, surrounded by thoughts that feel like swords cutting through their peace of mind. This is exactly what's going to happen to the people who thought they knew what your life would look like or who had made plans that depended on you staying the same. What's really significant about this Nine of Swords appearing in your reading is the timing. This mental anguish isn't going to be brief, it's going to be sustained. The person or people represented by this card are going to go through an extended period of questioning everything they thought they knew about you and about their own lives. But here's what I want you to understand about this Nine of Swords energy, Scorpio. This anxiety and despair that others are going to experience isn't your responsibility to fix. You can't live your life in a cage just to prevent other people from having to face their own fears about change. The Nine of Swords is showing you that some people would rather suffer through mental torment than actually adapt to new realities. Now, the fourth card that came through is absolutely mind-blowing, and I wasn't expecting this at all. It's the Page of Cups, but the energy coming through with this card is completely different from what you'd typically expect. Usually, Page of Cups is about gentle emotional beginnings or creative inspiration, but in your reading, it's showing up as this incredible burst of emotional freedom. Page of Cups here is representing your emotional rebirth, Scorpio, but not in the way most people would imagine. This isn't about becoming softer or more vulnerable in the traditional sense. This is about you finally having the courage to feel and express emotions that you've kept hidden because they were too intense or too threatening to the people around you. The Page of Cups is showing me that part of your transformation involves reclaiming emotional territory that you gave up in order to keep peace or maintain relationships. You've been dimming your emotional intensity to make other people more comfortable, and this card is saying that time is over. What's really powerful about this Page of Cups energy is that it's going to allow you to connect with parts of yourself that you thought were lost forever. Scorpio, you've been so focused on being what others needed that you forgot what your own authentic emotional landscape actually looks like. This card is showing a rediscovery that's going to be both exhilarating and terrifying for everyone involved. The way this Page of Cups is interacting with the other cards in your reading tells me that your emotional awakening is going to be the catalyst for everything else that unfolds. When you start expressing your real feelings and pursuing what actually matters to you on an emotional level, that's when the Eight of Wands energy kicks in and everything starts moving at light speed. The fifth card I pulled for you is the Ten of Swords, and I know that might sound ominous, but hear me out, because this card is actually bringing incredible liberation energy to your reading. Ten of Swords represents absolute endings, the kind where there's no going back, but that's exactly what you need right now, Scorpio. This card is showing me that something in your life needs to die completely and permanently. And I'm not talking about a gentle transition or a gradual fading away. Ten of Swords is about dramatic, conclusive endings that leave no room for doubt or negotiation. It's the kind of ending that forces everyone involved to acknowledge that a chapter is completely closed. What's really significant about Ten of Swords in your reading is that this ending is going to be visible to everyone. This isn't something you can hide or minimize. When Ten of Swords energy hits, it's obvious to everyone that something major has concluded and there's no pretending otherwise. The people around you who have been in denial about your changes or who have been hoping that things would go back to how they used to be are going to have to face reality when this Ten of Swords energy manifests. There will be no more room for wishful thinking or attempts to resurrect what's been laid to rest. But here's what I love about Ten of Swords showing up for you right now. This card often looks like defeat or victimization, but what it actually represents is the completion of a necessary process. Sometimes things have to die completely before new life can emerge, and that's exactly what's happening in your situation, Scorpio. The sixth and final card that came through for you is the Ace of Swords, and this is where everything comes together in the most incredible way. Ace of Swords represents breakthrough clarity, mental power, and the kind of truth that cuts through all illusions. This card is showing me that you're about to experience a moment of absolute crystal clear understanding about your life and your path forward. Ace of Swords often represents shocking revelations or sudden insights that completely change how you see everything. In your reading, this card is indicating that you're going to have a mental breakthrough that gives you the courage and clarity to take actions that seemed impossible before. What's really powerful about this Ace of Swords is the timing. It's coming after all the other cards, which tells me that your moment of absolute clarity is going to emerge from the chaos and intensity of everything else that's unfolding. Sometimes we need to go through the storm before we can see the clear sky. This Ace of Swords breakthrough is going to give you words and concepts to explain what's happening in your life in a way that finally makes sense. You've been feeling these changes and transformations, but maybe you haven't been able to articulate them clearly, even to yourself. This card represents the moment when everything clicks into place mentally. The energy I'm getting from this Ace of Swords is that your clarity is going to be so sharp and your understanding so complete that you'll wonder how you ever lived without this level of mental precision. It's like someone is going to hand you a sword made of pure truth, and you're finally going to be able to cut through all the confusion and manipulation that's been clouding your vision. What's absolutely fascinating about these 6 cards together is how they tell such a complete story of transformation. You've got the rapid movement of 8 of Wands, the desperate clinging of 4 of Pentacles, the mental anguish of 9 of Swords, the emotional rebirth of Page of Cups, the dramatic ending of 10 of Swords, and the breakthrough clarity of Ace of Swords. This reading is showing me that you're not just changing, Scorpio, you're completely metamorphosing, and the people around you are going to have to decide whether they can handle the butterfly or whether they're too attached to the cocoon. Some people in your life have become so invested in your limitations that your freedom is going to feel like a personal attack to them. The shock news that's coming is going to be your news. It's going to be you announcing or revealing something that completely recontextualizes who you are and what you're capable of. The people who thought they had you figured out are going to realize they were only seeing a fraction of your true self. What I want you to understand, Scorpio, is that everything that's about to unfold has been building for a very long time. These aren't random changes or sudden decisions. These are the natural result of you finally being ready to honor your authentic self instead of the version of you that made everyone else comfortable. The despair that someone is going to experience isn't really about you changing. It's about them having to face the fact that they were trying to love a limited version of you while rejecting or ignoring your full spectrum. When you start showing up as your complete self, they're going to have to decide if they can love all of you or if they were only attached to the parts that served them. So, Scorpio, as intense as this all sounds, I want you to know that what's coming is ultimately about liberation. You've been carrying other people's fears and limitations for too long, and the universe is basically saying, enough is enough. It's time for you to live your life according to your own inner compass, instead of everyone else's comfort zone. The transformation that's coming isn't something you need to force or push. It's already in motion and gathering momentum. Your job is just to stay aligned with your truth and let everything else reorganize itself around your authentic energy. Some people will rise to meet you in your new reality, and others will reveal that they were never really seeing you clearly in the first place.